The March 11th, 2021 regular Dyer Town Council meeting. All please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk take the roll, please?
Bob?
Here.
Eric? Mary?
Here.
Alan?
Here.
Eric and Steve are absent.
So you forgot to call my name. I'm here. I'm present on Zoom.
Oh, I didn't know that, Steve. I apologize.
Okay.
Are you here?
I'm here.
Okay.
Okay.
Is Eric on Zoom too, or?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
Mr. President, let the record reflect that the governor renewed the executive orders for March, allowing Mr. Crane to participate remotely and vote.
So noted. Citizen input. Do we have any citizens that would like to address the council? Step forward, step your name and address, please.
You know, why do you put citizen input in at the very beginning of the meeting?
We were asked to do that about 6 months ago.
Okay, my next question is, I know that we're gonna have increase in water rates. Does anybody know if Highland is gonna increase our transmission rates?
Our transmission rates are currently set by contract, and they have no impact on treated water or the wholesale rate.
So then the only increase is just gonna be what Hammond
At
is
this
gonna
point,
charge?
yes. At this point, the first thing, the initial increase will be the 45 cents per 1,000 gallons.
And then what about Hammond? Now, we have, Highland, with our contract, how long is that in effect before it
Well,
can be adjusted?
All communities will have uniform contracts that will run for 10 years, including our contract between Highland and the city of Hammond.
Okay, my next question is, I read something that the town is looking at purchasing some buildings there across the street.
Yes,
What are their plans with that?
that is part of their two-stage ditch for the stormwater. Those are the 3 homes just south of the fire station on the west side of Hart Street.
Now, what about the White Hen?
The hospital owns that, and I believe we are trying to start a discussion with the hospital about removing that building.
Are we interested in that property?
We have no use for it.
Now,
You have to have a public use to purchase a piece of private property.
Yeah, we're just in the discussion phase at this point.
what is this two-stage ditch with the hospital?
Basically, it's widening the ditch at that location there and right behind Town Hall at Elmer Miller to increase the capacity of the stormwater when the ditch is flooding.
So in other words, the ditch is just gonna be widened at that point?
Well, it's more than that. The concept of 2 stages is you have what we see now as a ditch, and then it would go up to a certain point. I don't have a set of plans in front of me, but then it would go out and come back up and widen its capacity considerably. So it won't be the notch. It'll be up a plateau and then out again.
It'd basically be like a grassy retention area. The only time you'll see water there is when there is a flood situation.
Because I seen the hospital, they used to have a pump there at their retention pond over there, because I walk around there. You know, I go to the walking path, and now are they gonna expand that detention area? Is that?
No, part of the problem, part of it is they're contributing $2 million to this project to provide for compensatory storage. This will help both the town and the hospital.
You know what, and I'd like to invite you to the stormwater meeting, and the storm board will explain that very well, because this is an ongoing project. It's been with us for a number of years, and the hospital is helping us take care of it. And it'll be a nice grassy area that'll lead right into the hospital property and the hospital walk.
Okay, my last question, I see it's is gonna follow in the next meeting. Do you have any estimation when the firehouse will open?
We're waiting for NIPSCO to install, they have to move a gas line that will allow us then to fix up the sanitary sewer. The station's effectively ready. We're moving some stuff in, but we won't operate out of it until it's completely functional. We need the generator hookup, but then there's a gas main at, it's at Calumet. Yep, correct. So that's what needs, so it's very shortly. We're storing stuff in there now. Park just got stuff in. PD is able to go in and store some of their equipment, and Fire's got equipment moved in there. We don't have any apparatus in there, and we're not working out of there until we get everything taken.
So all you're gonna have to do is wait until NIPSCO
They're supposed to be here the first.
relocates the gas line.
Yep, that should do it. Punch list, I
And that
think is
should be
done.
shortly then.
It's supposed to be early in April.
Early in April. Okay, thank you very much.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any other citizen input? Next, I have the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, including the minutes of the February 11th, 2021 Town Council meeting, the minutes of the January 14th, 2021 Town Council meeting, claims totaling $865,557.06, and the proclamation for the Disability Awareness Month. Councilman Starkey, would you please read that?
Whereas the month of March 2021 has been designated as Disability Awareness Month to celebrate and recognize people with disabilities by the governor of the state of Indiana. And whereas disability is a natural part of the human experience and in no way diminishes the right of individuals with disabilities to live independently, enjoy self-determination, make choices, contribute to society, and experience full in the economic, political, social, cultural, and educational mainstream of American society. And whereas family members, friends, and members of the community can play a central role in enhancing the lives of people with disabilities, especially when the family and community are provided with necessary support services, and public and private employers are aware of the capabilities of people with disabilities to be engaged in competitive work in inclusive settings. And whereas the goals of this town and state properly include providing individuals with disabilities the opportunities and support to make informed choices and decisions, live in homes and communities where such individuals can exercise their full rights and responsibilities as citizens, pursue meaningful and productive lives, contribute to their family, community, state, and nation, have interdependent friendships and relationships with others, and achieve full inclusion in society. Now, therefore, the Town Council of the Town of Dyer does hereby recognize March 2021 as Disability Awareness Month.
Thank you. Next, we have the proclamation from the Hospitalist Appreciation from the Dyer Town Council. Whereas licensed hospitalists throughout Northwest Indiana and Lake County are devoted to relieving human suffering through the prevention and treatment of illness and injury. And whereas our community owes a debt of gratitude to our hospitalists, the men and women of science, for their contributions to advancing the art of science and medicine in the never-ending fight against disease. And whereas our community owes a debt of gratitude to our hospitalists for their unwavering sympathy, compassion, and selfless dedication in caring for the sick and the injured, ministering to the chronically infirm, and educating the well. And whereas we commend our hospitalists for their contribution to our community in promoting the highest quality medical care, strongest medical ethics, and ongoing advancements in medical care. Now, therefore, the Town Council of the Town of Dyer does hereby recognize hospitalists for all they contribute, sacrifice, and continued devotion to our community, proclaimed and adopted this 11th day of March 2021 by the Town Council of the Town of Dyer, Lake County, Indiana. And last, we have Resolution 2021-06, transfer of funds.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Will the clerk take the roll?
Bob?
Aye.
Is Eric on?
Not at this time.
Mary?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Ellen?
Aye. Next, we have announcements. Summerfest, June 9th through the 13th. Mr. Block, would you like to speak about that?
Thank you, Ellen. With me is Greg Picker. He will be our chairman this year. With my position with the Lions, I will not be able to be around for the whole festival. I'm kind of traveling, so Greg will be stepping into my shoes, as well as Carolyn Uricki. So it's going to be left in capable hands. So we're going to try it for the second time. We did take a break last year because of the pandemic. We have been in contact with our amusement provider, which is Alpine Amusement. He has been, he was open last summer. They were up in Wisconsin. They did a few shows, but in what he's seeing is that the industry is opening up. So we would like to proceed with making plans for this year's festival at Pheasant Hills Park. We're going to make some changes in it. We have some guidelines that we have to follow that are from the Outdoor Amusement Business Association for outdoor festivals. We'll be operating under those recommendations, as well as along with the state and Lake County Health Department, as well as the licensing agent, which is the Homeland Security.
Okay.
What you have in front of you is the schedule that we are working on. We will have a movie in the park, as well as the bike parade on Wednesday. Both of those are going to be sponsored by our Parks Department. The festival itself runs Thursday through Sunday. There are some changes in it. We will not have the bands every night. We're only going to have bands on Friday and Saturday, just to help out on the cost factor, not knowing exactly how we're going to come out into this new era of festivals. So it's going to be something different. We did take away the gaming. We will not have any gaming as well. And the other change is that we will not have the parade on Sunday as we normally have. Again, looking at the crowd control, trying to work with different areas as marching bands and all that. We don't know if Lake Central will be able to march or not. My son's involved in the marching band for Bishop Knoll, and they're not marching until next November.
Okay.
So just instead of trying to fight it, we decided just to take away from it. We do have all our suppliers from the past. We've contacted them all. They're all on board. We will be getting the additional contracts and everything to the town council for their approval. And basically, we're just asking for your blessing to move forward and be able to host another year of festival.
No, absolutely. I think the town's looking forward to it. People want to get back to normal. I know a lot of people were disappointed last year, so thank you for your hard work. Glad it's coming back.
So hopefully we're hoping to be bigger and better this year and stronger. So we will keep you updated as we move forward.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob and Greg.
Okay, thank you for the time.
You're welcome. Do we need to take any official action on that
No.
at this point? Okay.
You can accept the report as a matter of record.
Okay. Next announcement, Town Council joint meeting with the Plan Commission. Work study to review zoning codes is March 15th at 6 p.m. and March 20th at 10 a.m. Next, we have reports. Town Council, Councilman Starkey,
I have nothing at this time.
Councilmember Tanis.
Yes, I'd like to thank all the residents and our employees. We've had a long, tedious year. And when I look at all the residents who have done so well to cooperate with our employees to keep, the ways open for the park department and for the clerk treasurer and the town council office, everybody has to work together. And I think this has really worked out well. But I do want to thank the residents and the employees for all the hard work you've done this last year, because it helps our town to be a better town. Thank you.
Thank you. I would just like to mention that next week in Indiana is Severe Weather Preparedness Week. There will be a statewide tornado siren test on Tuesday, March 16th at 9:15 a.m. Councilman Kramer, do you have anything to add?
Oh, just really quick, I wanted to recognize that March is also National Women's History Month. And a big thank you to our Congress and President Biden for passing American Rescue Act. It looks like Dyer is in line for a little over $3 million from this. Lake Central around 6 million, and Lake County, I believe, right around 9. So just wanted to say thank you. That's it.
All right, thank you. Clerk Treasurer?
Yes, we have some donations for our K-9 of $115. If we can have a motion to accept that.
Do I have a motion to accept a donation of $115 for the police K-9?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Bob?
Aye.
Eric, are you with us?
Not at this
Eric won't
time.
be here
Okay.
tonight.
Mary?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
Also, I have a resolution that, a transfer that didn't need a resolution for the fire department from Fund 101-22300.366 Fire Department Maintenance Agreement to Fund 101-22300.362 to Fire Department Repairs Vehicle for $3,000. Can I
I'll
have
make
a
a motion
motion?
to approve resolution 2021-06, transfer of funds.
Second.
You did that on the consent agenda.
Yeah.
No, that was a different transfer.
So
Different
it
one.
can't be the same resolution number.
Tom, it wasn't if you look at,
Mary just made a motion to
Right.
approve the same
Okay,
thing.
yeah, it's the
Is this
same
a-
thing.
oh, did you?
It's the same thing.
We did that.
Okay, so we don't need a motion for that at this time?
Yeah,
Covered
just-
under
you
consent?
just withdraw the motion.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Next, town managers report.
I have nothing other than what's here.
Thank you. Town attorney.
Regarding the Hammond settlement, that's its own agenda item. You can consider that my report, and then my fee for the general obligation bond issue. I hope to present that at the April meeting.
I can't trust them.
Okay, thank you. Board and commissions, utility board, Frank?
Essentially, on the sanitary side, we had our bid opening for the phosphorus removal system for the wastewater treatment plant. Engineer's estimate was $310,000. We received bids ranging from $299,800 up to over $468,000. Fortunately, our low bid was a good bid. So that was awarded at $299,800. We'll have a pre-construction meeting on that, I believe, on the 17th. Hopefully they'll begin work in next 30 days, and by fall, we hope to be complete. So that project's moving along well and under original estimates, which is a good thing. On the water side, what we call contracts 3, 4, and 5, which is the improvements at the booster station, redundant distribution line, and the emergency interconnect at 77th Avenue with Sherrville. Those bid openings will be on March 16th. So hopefully we're looking forward to hopefully getting some good bids, and then we'll be able to take action on those if all that's in order at this month's meeting of the utility board. Contracts 1 and 2, which are our redundant supply lines and additional supply lines, I should say, as well, from Highland and Munster. Those are under design. I think at this point, the hope is that they can go out for bid in April. Beyond that, of course, is our rate increases, our rate changes with Hammond, which Adam had referenced, and obviously is its own agenda item. So that's
Okay.
obviously been there. So that's what I have for tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Department heads, police department, Commander Carroll.
Yes, good evening. I'm sitting in for Chief Hine. He had another obligation. So the monthly report. The month of February, we had 735 incidents. We had 51 arrests, 31 accidents, 321 citations, 292 warnings, and 83 ordinance violations, many of which were related to the snow. That is all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Fire department, John.
Last month, we had 128 responses. Of that, 90 were EMS calls, 14 were false alarms. 1 was a mutual aid to Cedar Lake. 6 were various EMS and false alarm calls to the unincorporated area that we cover in the township. The fire department also did some special training for special needs and autism to interact on incidents where we may encounter those. And we'd like to thank the Dyer's Lady Lions for donating 2 kits that will go along with the autism and special needs. If we need, it has various things that we can use to interact with those patients in various different activities.
That's
So we'd
awesome.
like to thank them for that. That's
Absolutely.
all I have at this time.
Thank you. Public Works, Jeff.
Next week, we'll be beginning our limb pickup along roadsides for residents. As long as the weather holds up on Monday, but we'll be starting that Monday and then continuing that for until the end of the year.
Okay.
We're continuing to, of course, potholes and stuff like that, getting those all taken care of, fixed as we get out of the winter months and getting down back into the spring and summer. As we're also picking up limbs and stuff, we'll also be doing some right-of-way cleanup, trimming up back trees and stuff around signs and such. And we're continuing also putting up signs throughout the town, updating those as well. So.
Okay. Yeah, I saw some new dead end signs.
Yes, that is what we're working on right now. Dead end signs and no outlet signs in those areas that need it. So again, we're
Okay. Thank you. Park Department, Mike.
Our Central Park North End project is still ongoing with the concession stand restroom facility and the ball field, the pond, the paths. That should be wrapping up here in the spring. Our next project with that is the inner hub area. We are close to being finalized on the final plans as we talked in our last park meeting. So the plan is still to be able to have be able to bid in April to get everything going. So that's those are moving good. Our next park improvement plan is for Autumn Chase Park. We're doing that with the IDNR Land and Water grant. Those plans are also in the final phases of designing, getting the bid prepared and stuff like that. So that's still planned for the summer. So we'll have those 2 things going on into spring and into the summer. And then today we did post our next 2022 to 2026 Parks Master Plan. The community needs assessment survey was posted today. This afternoon, I think we already got like 25 people house. Okay. So they turn them in so far, or online and stuff, turn them in. So, but that's posted. They'll go today, the 11th through June 11th. That's the plan.
Okay, thank you. Next, road projects, Neil.
Evening.
Good evening.
We have Osage and Laurel. That's expected to begin early to mid-April. We're looking at scheduling the contractor for a pre-bid meeting, pre-construction meeting, and then we'll get that information of the exact dates over to town staff so they can put that on the website and social media as well. We're also doing some closeouts in the next few months on the 1-year maintenance inspections for the last year's construction projects as part of the required 1-year guarantee period. And then we have the bid report for the 2020-2 CCMG award for our 2021 resurfacing projects. We had a bid opening on Tuesday this week at 10 a.m. We had 3 bids that were received. A engineer's opinion of cost of this project, which was based on our last year's cost plus 5% at $640,525.25. We received the 3 bids range from $494,375 to $617,483.30. And all contractors did submit the required bid security non-collusion affidavit. There were no errors in any of the bids, and the recommendation would be for the lowest, most responsive and responsible bidder to Reese Riley Construction Company Incorporated in the amount of $494,375. And if you consider that positively, I'd recommend that we allow the town manager to sign the notice of award so we can get that over to the contractor with the contracts, which we already have prepared tomorrow morning, so that we can be on schedule for the April 8th submittal to CCMG through INDOT. And those will be prepared for Alan's signature and attestment by the clerk treasurer.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
Yes. What is a in-place asphalt unit.
Specifically on what page you're looking at?
It's
Alan?
on the second page. It just said this was why the bid was so competitive because they had an in-place asphalt unit.
In-place asphalt is what it costs to put a ton of asphalt down.
Okay,
The $50 reference
okay,
Yeah, that-
is what was the biggest item, obviously, in a resurfacing job, and that's why their bid was low.
okay.
Yeah, the vast majority of the cost of those is the actual surface, and we've had incredibly competitive bids recently, and I think we saw that
Right.
with what we got here on these bids.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great news to be sure.
Thank you.
Okay,
Any questions?
No, you need a motion to approve that?
Yes.
Yes, we can take care of that now. I need a motion to award the bid for the 2020-02 CCMG to Reith Riley in the amount of $494,375.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Clerk, will you take the roll?
Bob,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye. Motion passes 4-0.
thank you. We will we'll get that notice of award and we'll get the contracts over ASAP. Thanks so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you. Next, we have the settlement with Hammond Waterworks Department and the city of Hammond. I don't know if Adam or Tom.
I can dig. As
Okay.
you, we had another update on the status this morning. As you can see in the memo here, a couple Fridays ago, we agreed to all the essential terms, and all the time since then has just been reducing it to writing. And there's been a back and forth between Hammond and the five of us who are challenging its rate increase. There was Hammond got us its draft a couple days ago, and we just decided to come back with another revision, striking terms, wording things differently. Our hope is to have this in the next, couple days or couple weeks at most. How much detail do you want me to go into as far as what the actual terms are? I know we discussed this at the utility board meeting.
Right.
For those present, the Hammond Water Department has not increased its rates since 1985. And then all of a sudden it wanted to spring a 400% increase on the five customer communities: Whiting, us, Highland, Munster, and Griffith. State law allows for a procedure to challenge that proposal in court, which the five of us did jointly. And it was set for a hearing this month. And the day the mayor of Hammond was set to give his deposition, the city decided to settle. And I could provide more details on that. And what the terms we've agreed to, and first of all, there will be uniform contracts with all five municipalities, even though our contract is with Highland, because Highland supplies us, or Hammond supplies us water through Highland. Our contract will be uniform. So it's a 10-year term. The initial rate, which is retroactive to January 1st of this year, is 95 cents for this year. And then it steps up 10 cents to $1.05 per thousand for next year. And then after that, it's alternating. Then it increases by 5 cents and then by 10 cents every year until at the end of December 31st, 2030, we're at $1.60 per thousand gallons. This will be at least, the net result will be that the customer communities will pay at least $31 million less than they would have paid, than Hammond wanted them to pay in that 10-year period. Dyer's first savings is $475,000 in the first year. And then the savings increase between $50,000 and $25,000 annually after that. There's also a 10-year option to renew, or they can opt to renew for one additional 2-year term at the rate of $1.75. There are some stipulations with that. And of course, the litigation will be dismissed, as well as our challenge to Hammond selling its water to Illinois communities according to the method it was doing. Also, the agreement provides for no reselling of Hammond water except Highland and Munster are allowed to resell to us. And this allows for the planned expansion of supply from Munster. And then we also agree that Hammond will be the exclusive supplier of water during that 10-year period. That pretty much covers all the essential terms. There's been some finagling to make the language, Hammond, of course, sent us language that was most favorable to it. And I think, Mary, you were on the call this morning, and kind of underhanded in my opinion, but we have fine litigation attorneys, and of course, all of us are looking at it too. So hopefully this should be resolved. If anyone has any questions, Tom or I can answer them.
Okay. Well, I knew I did have a question from a couple of residents about why don't we buy water from Indiana and Indiana American out of Gary? Their prices are higher.
Their prices are significantly
higher.
And that's why people have to realize 50 cents a thousand, Hammond should have raised their rates 20 some years ago, or not 30 years ago. We've gotten cheap, even at 90 cents to $1.60. Those rates are still very competitive. And if it would have been cheaper years ago, you would have negotiated with Indiana American. Cherville pays more than we do. Crown Point pays more than we do. So.
And I do know Councilman Reifka in Griffith has floated the idea around of the five cities getting together and possibly doing an engineering study to see if it would be feasible to build our own water plant. Yeah. I don't know how that would turn out financially, but they're going to at least look into it.
Yeah. And I also believe that would require legislation
okay.
We're going to look at all those things. We've got a working group put together to look at that, but
okay.
That's one of the reasons it's a 10-year contract. That 10 years is going to fly by pretty quick.
And I think one thing that, sitting in on these meetings week after week is the cooperation among all of the groups in Northwest Indiana and the attorneys that kind of guide us along. But it's really a good group of people to get together and tell the rest of the state, we do get along, we do cooperate, and it's one effort together.
And I would just add, I think the primary reason we got this favorable settlement was because we banded together during this whole process.
Right. Yeah.
Do we need to take any official action? Or
no, we were, when I wrote this, I was hoping we'd have something.
Okay.
But at the next meeting, you will, whether we have a contract or not,
right.
We will get everything to start the process to put the tracker in place, because there is a notice requirement, and we're on the hook
right
up until we get those things put in place.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, ordinance and resolution. Do I have a motion to accept resolution 2021-07, authorizing the town to enter an agreement with Lake County and undertaking community development activities cooperation agreement?
I'll make the motion to authorize the execution of resolution 2021-07 to enter into the fiscal year 2022-2025 governmental cooperation agreement for community development block grant activities.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion?
Mr. President, I reviewed the proposed cooperation agreement. It mostly just incorporates the conditions imposed by federal law on receiving the grant. If you have any questions, I can answer them for you.
This is something we've routinely done in the past.
Well, this is done every 3 years. I was just going to say, this is not approving a grant, an application for a project. Mm-hmm. This is the stay in the Lake County entitlement group, of which Gary, Hammond, and East Chicago are not included, so it's the rest of us. And then we'll come, but we're getting ready to spend our last award in the, as Mike talked about, in the core area of Central Park. This is the intergovernmental agreement that allows us to remain part of that whole group and follow through. The dates never line up right because of fiscal years and everything else, but.
Any other discussion? Will the clerk take the roll?
Bob,
Abstain?
Mary,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye. Next, we have Resolution 2021-08, authorizing the Parks Department to accept payments through peer-to-peer payment apps and establishing internal controls. Do I have a motion authorizing that?
I'll make a motion to authorize resolution 2021-08.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. President, the clerk treasurer requested that I prepare this. All this does is allow the public one more means of making payments for park department services. And we have to establish internal controls as a condition of accepting that payment.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Will the clerk take the roll?
Bob,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye. New business. We need to award the landscape maintenance contract for 2021. Jeff, do you want to speak to this?
Sure. Again, we went out for some proposals. I think 7 businesses we contacted. 2 submitted some proposals. Lakeshore Landscaping was the lowest at $159,811 for 30 cuts, which is 1 year's worth of service. Lakeshore's been with us, I think, for the last 6 years. And again, they're a little bit higher than the previous years, but again, with costs increasing everywhere, again, it's within range. So like I said, I think it's a good thing to do.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the contract for mowing and landscaping with Lakeshore Landscaping in the base amount of $159,811?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, will you take the roll?
Bob,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye. Next, we have the purchase award 4x4 pickup.
No, Alan, you have to allocate the money from seated. See number 2 under the recommendation.
I'll make
Okay.
a motion that we allocate $121,000 from the seeded fund to the landscaping mowing clearing fund for 2021.
Do I have
Second.
any discussion? Clerk, will you take the roll?
Bob,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Next, we have the purchase of 216 Trillium Drive, Everly Park, which we do now have a resolution. Resolution 2021-09, approving the acquisition of property, which is at 216 Trillium Drive.
If I may, Mr. President, this is a resolution that just initiates the acquisition process. There has to be notice and a public hearing before final action pursuant to statute. The Park Board recommended this purchase, and although the Park Board has the authority to acquire property, the Works Board, as defined in the eminent domain statute, is the Town Council. So this resolution is presented to you for approval. I can answer any questions if you have them.
I'll make a motion to authorize the acquisition of 216 Trillium Drive from 2019 Park Bod proceeds.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just to say that we started this a couple years ago, and it's incredible that it takes 2 years to buy a piece of property that is for sale.
Mr. Starkey, one of those years it was taken out of the bond issue because other projects got put in its place.
That's all I've got.
Clerk, will you take the roll, please?
Bob,
Absolutely.
Mary,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Next, we have the purchase award of 4x4 pickup trucks with plows and radios. Do I have a motion to approve the purchase of two 4x4 pickups with plows and radios from Garber Chevrolet to be approved in a net amount of $73,814.50, and also authorized a trade-in of a 01 Chevy Tahoe and 2012 Chevy pickup with plow?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? And just so people are aware, Garber Chevrolet used to be Christensen Chevrolet. Clerk, will you take the roll?
Bob,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Next, we have the request to modify compensatory time. Are we taking that off the agenda?
Well, if you have no problems with it, I'll write it up for the next meeting. I didn't get a chance to formally write it up, but Jeff can explain to you. You got Jeff's letter in here. If you have any questions of us,
Okay.
go ahead and ask, but we'd like some direction.
Yeah, I would, does the council members have any questions, or you want to table it till next month? Okay,
Will you table it? Do you want us to write the thing, or you want to give us an answer tonight and then allow us to write the thing? That's what I'm looking for, I guess.
I would like you to write it.
I would agree.
We can work on it.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't get time to finish it. So.
There's a motion to table.
Yes.
Okay, so do I have a motion to table it?
Well, okay, well, is it the motion on the floor, so you got to take that.
I'll make the motion to write it now.
Do I have a second?
Excuse me, but didn't Councilman Starkey already make a motion to table? He either has to formally withdraw his motion, or we have to second and a vote.
I didn't count it as making a motion.
Not an
If the
official.
intent was to make one.
No.
So his was not an official motion
No. So if you want a second, Steve, that's where we're at.
repeat the motion again, please.
Mary?
I would make a motion to write it now.
In accordance with this.
Yes.
And your motion is to have our town manager write it along with the attorney?
Yeah, we'll amend the salary ordinance or the personnel regulation that follows it. What I'm trying to do, everybody, is avoid putting us in a trick bag of, we have a 24-hour limit.
Yep.
And I'm trying to, I think it's important that we do this for fiscal reasons and stuff. And that's all I want to do. I don't want to get caught in the trick bag of the personnel policy says you got to pay out over 24 hours. So it's just common sense management at this point, but.
Part of the personnel.
I'll second a motion, but I just wanted to make clear that Councilwoman Tanis's motion was to have the town manager and attorney along together to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, because I just heard her say I would write it.
No. She said, go ahead and write it.
Okay.
I what you're saying.
Any other discussion? Will the clerk take the roll?
Bob,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Next, we have Park Board Member resignation, Sharon Sporman. Do we need to official
You should
action?
accept it, and as Sharon has indicated, she believes sometime in May, so you don't have to fill it tomorrow.
Okay.
But we're gonna pull out the old applications for Park Board, we'll get them to you.
Okay.
And this just documents it, we'll keep moving
And
along.
then accept it as a matter of record.
Okay, well, so we do need a motion to.
No motion, you just accept the resignation.
Okay, we just accept Sharon Sporman's resignation into the record.
Yeah. You're on until your appointment is filled, so it's,
Yep.
that way she can come to meetings until we find somebody.
The last position that we filled was Democrat Independent.
I have to look at what the breakout is with Sharon. I don't have
I
that.
just didn't know. if-
I didn't even think about the look.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might have to. I'd have to look.
I think we, yeah, okay.
Next, any and all, any other business?
I have one thing, and this is, Commander Carroll, I'm gonna place this on you, but I know you can relay it to Chief Hine. I'd like to request that the police department prepare a report for the council that takes a look at the current policy of responding to medical assist calls, both in man hours and dollar amount. I think as we go forward with remodeling and remolding the fire department going forward, I think that might be an interesting metric to see what the police department responds to, what we may want the fire department to respond to in the future.
Okay, certainly. I'll take that back to Chief Hine. I'll help him with that. And would you like that for obviously the next meeting?
For the next meeting would be fantastic.
Okay, sir.
Thanks.
Any other business? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Voice vote?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned?
We'll just continue on with Dyer Redevelopment Commission meeting. You have before you an agenda. Is there any citizen input in the Redevelopment Commission meeting? Seeing none. Consent agenda contains the minutes of the February 11th, 2021 Redevelopment Commission meeting and claims totaling $30,475.09. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bob,
Aye.
Ellen,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Mary.
Aye. Next, we have general orders or old business, the purchase of the LED signage for the town hall and Central Park Fire Station. We need a recommendation that the RDC quote, award the quote to Fire Watch for 2 signboards installed at a total price of $57,530.60 to be paid for from TIP.
I'll make that motion.
We have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have any discussion?
Yes, why do we have 2 signboards? Where are they gonna be placed?
One at Town Hall to replace the one that's breaking down,
Okay,
and then one at the Central Park Fire Station.
okay,
Now, what I was gonna tell you was Central Park Fire Stations are gonna require an enclosure, a mounting, which we're doing in design right now. So that's good. This one at Town Hall will slip in. We may change the overhead sign once we start looking at everything, but both boards are identical. They'll be the same size. That'll allow, right now, the only person that can program it is Mike. Because of the old software, it gives you a designated computer. This thing will be able to do, if Jeff's out on a call using his smartphone, he'll be able to post an emergency on the thing and stuff like that, which is what we want to be able to do. So it's going to work out a lot better.
and at the Central Park Station, will that have a dimming feature at night?
Yeah, all these things have a dimming feature. All the new LEDs are allowed you to dim it down.
Okay,
And your naked eye really won't notice it.
okay. And as far as the sign at Central Park Station, I'm assuming it'll be, the brickwork will match the building.
That's what the architect is coming up. Either the brickwork will match the building, or I've thought about, and I haven't broached it with the pro, use the same pillars that we're doing for the fence,
Okay.
which is what we've got along
Yeah.
Calumet. That kind of ties that theme in. I'll let him decide that. He's
Okay.
the smart guy. And because they may be too big for the sign as opposed to a little bit better, but
Okay,
yeah.
all right, thank you.
We have any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Bob,
Aye.
Ellen,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Mary.
Aye. We have a fire station update.
Well, I gave most of it before, but let me kind of trip through it. we're waiting for the gas main, which has created some difficulty for us. We're working on John Ryan has got is finalizing the plans for the landscape contract and bidding. That ties in with the sign and everything else that'll go there. That bid will go out. The landscaping for both the roundabout and the core and the landscaping we want to put together as one so we get a better price, we hope. And we're moving along. We want to move in. We've already got stuff stored in there. It's just a matter of waiting for the utilities to get settled and stuff. Now, the old fire station, once we move it, will take some time to get it cleaned out and everything else. We have had some people show some interest in if we're interested in renting it in some fashion. So I know you guys want to talk about tearing it down or doing anything, but I think you need to consider that and put it out there and get some income in there, or we'll just tear it down. It makes no difference to me.
Yeah, I think the consensus is to tear it down immediately.
You know, but that consensus was before you had anybody showing an interest in wanting to rent.
Right.
Who's interested in it, I guess?
One guy, I've had two contractors call me about it.
Really?
And one guy says, I have a client that might be interested in doing something. We have an individual who wants to use it. He wants to talk about building a indoor sports area in town somewhere and using this place on an interim basis for batting cages. And, you know, those kinds of things. And that's where you normally find these kinds of things, in these old abandoned buildings. So that's out there. Now you got to deal with the issue. Do you make them paint it or do something like that? But just, you know,
Like to give it to look a little bit better.
well, you
than
can
it
put
does.
some lipstick on the pig. It's still a pig, but it's, you know, but it generates, I don't know what the market will bear. But our consensus was to tear it down when we had no plans for it.
Right.
Right.
But you still don't have it. We still don't have an idea. Now, the property is zoned for a fire station, so there's got to be a rezoning of the whole thing, no matter what we do with it.
Right.
And whether we lease it out or sell it or do anything else. If we tear the building down, the plan is we'll just grass in the area. We need to fix some of the parking lot was falling apart. We got to do some things there if we're going to maintain that as a commuter lot. Or what's going to happen. So it's just something to think about.
Interesting.
Okay. Thank you.
I'd like to find out how much they're willing to pay us and what they're going to do to fix it.
Yeah, I can talk to them. This just came up last week.
Okay. Sounds good to me. Any and all? You have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Next, we have the town council work session. We've already discussed the fire station update and the demolition and potential uses. The next item on the agenda is road repaving, road projects.
Go ahead, Bob. What are you going to say? I'm sorry.
No, this was, Tom, I don't know if this was where you were going to go with it. I had, after the initial thaw, I was driving down Harrison and knew it was just in awful condition. But I know after every thaw, it's awful.
And then they sort of heal back sometimes.
Yeah,
And that's,
so that, I had asked Neil about when that may be on the schedule to be done in our plan. I think it was 2025. And so I thought, well, you know, what can we do in the meantime? And so I think one of the questions, and Neil, you can answer some of this if you want. The thought was if the road is in good enough condition that we can take 1.5 inches off and put an 1.5 inches on, that it's a Band-Aid for 5 or 6 years until we get to that point. And it was a fairly decent number, and that was before we knew the good numbers that we were getting from Rick Riley. So,
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. What we did is we did 5 asphalt cores along Harrison from Northgate to Protzman, essentially plus or minus 500 foot evenly spaced. And we found between 6, 8, 4.5, and 5 inches of total asphalt. In most cases, the top and middle layers were in good shape. Essentially everything towards the bottom of that asphalt section was fairly poor and crumbling. So I would recommend that you go no more than 1.5 inches, potentially 2 inches, so we stay out of that bad area in terms of what's more poor towards the bottom. But we also found a reasonable amount of aggregate stone base underneath there as well. But you also have very varied times of when that was constructed in different phases of the subdivisions as you go through time from, the 50s into, I believe, the 70s was the more recent area. So yeah, I think you're right in terms of consideration for, initially we looked at under $100,000 to do some minor curb work, but generally mill, tack, overlay, and possibly some spot repaired areas. But with the numbers we've recently seen, my recommendation would be, if this is something you guys as a group want to consider, we could contact the contractor who we just received these bids from and extend those prices for a locally funded project, rather than go through the community crossings, that if you wanted to apply for that now, you'd be 1.5 years before you could even start that. And that's kind of why we're on those cycles that you see of applying for those funds in the -1 for reconstruction, and then taking the excess funds that we have available to apply for the grants as part of the -2 projects, and later in the year to get those completed, within the next 6 to 8 months, which is what you just awarded yet this evening. So
As town council
absolutely.
members, our first priority is safety. And I think of the safety, the number of people that travel that path, and also because the school is right there.
Yeah.
That's a safety concern to all of us.
Well, one of the things that I had done was, and I had asked Jeff for a ballpark on, knowing that we need a lot of stormwater work done on that street. We know we need some main work done. It's a no-win. It's a never-ending game. If it was any more expensive to do that, we know it's a couple-year Band-Aid until we get to the point where we can redo the water main. We can do the storm sewer that we want. It fixes a problem temporarily on Harrison. Again, if it was $300,000, I'd say we were throwing good money after bad. But if we're going to be out there all the time patching for the next, from now until 2025, I think we will exceed the $85,000 to do that. So, and also knowing it's a gamble that, knock on wood, we were talking to Polk, Tyler, and Harrison just last week. And what happened the very next day? Water main break on Polk. So we know there's, a gamble to it, but I think the money's good. And in talking with Neil, it doesn't affect any future CCMG, bidding awards for that.
You're correct. These are maintenance projects you're doing, whether it's like, Jeff and I talk about, you're resurfacing a street this next year, you still patch the potholes in that interim.
Right.
And to the point of the water main breaks, if Jeff or I could predict when those were going to happen, we wouldn't be sitting in this room right now. We'd probably be on a beach somewhere with the lotto ticket. But what you can see is from the historical data that Frank and Brian Lane have delivered to us is, I believe there were between 14 and 16 breaks on that stretch of main, which is, it's an older main and it's due for replacement. It's on the schedule, and unfortunately being pushed to 2025 in terms of that expectation of the reconstruction or the one dig project as we've done recently. I think this is a good intermediate step for your consideration.
And the nice thing about that section there is the water main is in the parkway, it's in the easement. So God forbid there'd be something, it's not totally destroying the road.
Yeah.
To repair that again, to just patch it until we replace it.
Yeah, correct.
So that was my sucking the oxygen out of the room on that one.
I think the consensus of the council is we want to go ahead and do that.
If you'd be okay, I'll work with Tom and we'll have conversations with the.
'Cause you got to
the paving
remember,
contractor.
there are other streets in town in the same position. Maybe not the same position. That might be the wrong way to say it, but we got other streets to consider. We'll look at some options. We'll look at different things. We put this exhibit up, and I think it's critical. Steve, you're not able to see it, but it shows all the streets that have been done since 2011 under the PASER program. It shows you what all the PASER numbers.
Right.
And it shows you year by year what was done. Plus, it shows you what we've got for the CCMG. So when there's conversation about we're not doing enough roads, somebody's not looking at stuff. And you've got millions of dollars sitting up on that wall from both. The roads are the least important part because it's the 3 utilities underground where the real money is on these things when it comes down to. And we're still faced with, like Northgate is a good example. Northgate and Suburban Gardens south of 213. Those are the areas we're trying to focus on, but we've got huge stormwater issues, sanitary issues, and water issues. And those are part of the focus. I hate to keep beating the drum, but that's part of what we're talking about in terms of capital improvements for those 3 utilities. These things aren't going to get done unless there's money to get them done.
Yes.
And you're going to be pushing streets off past 2020. You're almost close. I set a goal of 2020 to 2021, getting all the 1s and 2s done. We're going to miss it by about a year. But it's in a couple of years, once you get these major projects out of these few we got left, you're going to be looking at what you need to resurface. We're finally being able to release some money for resurfacing, large patching, and or mill and grind. So you're getting there. So I don't want you to be discouraged that you're not doing streets, because you in fact are.
I think that brings up a good thing that we need to talk about now or talk about later. We were talking about the ABC streets and knowing that the water and sanitary wasn't bad. It was more stormwater related that we may want to do. And I think it's worthwhile having the discussion that not only do we have the highest stormwater fee in the state, one of them, I recognize that we have more exposure than our neighbors to the north because they have development there and we don't. But as we look at the stormwater fee, I think we need to start considering that it's an insurance policy against Mother Nature that will always inevitably win. And so are we, at what point, what's the tipping point of spending too much money to, we're never going to keep all water out of everywhere. It's never going to happen. So I don't know. Again, so I say we look at the ABC streets. That's another one. Do we wait years until we have stormwater capital to do those streets, or do we just, pave them now? And I don't know. I think it's a worthwhile conversation.
If you're having street inundation, which is part of the problem we always had in Northgate, because the infrastructure was so obsolete, for lack of a better, It was undersized. That deteriorates streets more rapidly.
Yeah, it does.
And you can keep paving streets and you can't keep the water off them. They're going to stop falling apart prematurely. And then I think you are throwing good money after bad. I think the storm board is working hard to get some of these projects done. And I caution you to compare your storm rate with somebody else's, because I can tell you the story of Munster. Munster gets, when I was there, was 1.2, almost 1.3 each and every year through property taxes levied by the Hammond Sanitary District. So I didn't need to have, that was our capital program. And our $10 rate took care of cleaning and everything else and going on. So we had effectively what we've asked you for in the stormwater rate was a capital fund to do stuff. Highland has got serious problems because as a customer city of the sanitary district, they get billed for all their stormwater that goes in from the I&I and everything else. So they're looking at all kinds of issues, and they're looking at a consent decree of $70-some million for some of their storm and sanitary issues they have to deal with. So it's a little hard. You got to worry about yourself. Stormwater is a big issue in this town, and it's We're trying to attack it. And it really, we're in an infancy stage because we just started this within the last, 20 years or so.
And it drains an awful lot from Illinois when you.
Well, you have 35 square miles coming from Illinois,
Yep,
which the two-stage dish is gonna help ease some of that.
definitely.
But you've got all that water coming in. And, you know, with the cities that are close to the river, job is get the water in the river as quick as you can, because you got the stuff coming from the south coming up that's gonna cause the problems. And that's why you got the coordinated efforts with the county and everything else that I think has worked out pretty well. Two-stage dish is gonna be helpful, not so much north, which is one of the problems we're having with the little Cal. Trying to give us some money, because really what benefit does it do? It's a local benefit. So our argument is you're collecting local money, put it back in the local problem, as opposed to a regional thing. There's less of an impact there. But I think you got to understand there's differences, there's different ways to do everything. It's been tough.
Well, we also potentially have $3 million coming our way. We don't know if there's any stipulations.
Well, there's gonna, before everybody spends it, the $9 million, we need to find out what it's gonna be used for. It's a COVID relief. It's supposed to be used in part to replace lost revenue. So that's gonna help us, because we've proven we've lost revenue in MBH, some in parks. That could be the lifesaver, but you just can't. I hope to God you don't just spend it. You should it's a perfect time in large part to start a rainy day fund to kind of protect yourself and do stuff. But we haven't gotten anything.
We haven't gotten any notice on what we're getting or anything.
There was
to be spent, all the fine lines have to be read, which our attorney will be a part of it. I've been talking with Baker and Tilly. We have to know what you can spend it on.
Right.
It just can't be, here's the money, let's go.
The Times just released it about 4 hours ago. I saw the news article. Up to that point, I've heard all kinds of numbers, but the Times came out. We'll get more information as to what we can do with it, but it is going to be able to help us replace lost revenue, which is critical. That's one of the problems with the old, the CARES Act. Didn't allow you to replace where you could prove you lost revenue from one year to the other because of something. And the activity fund was a perfect example. And now we've taken a big hit in MBH.
Yeah, that
from the gas
the
tax.
first notice was very vague, but it looked like it was, let's say something to the effect of, putting government services back on track.
That's the idea. It's a rescue.
Slow down stuff. So
yeah.
My first thought was parks and stuff.
Yeah. So it's a rescue bill is what it was called, to take care of those kinds of things. And so we'll get you more information when something happens. It just got signed today.
Any other comments on road repaving, road projects?
Provided you're okay with that, Tom and I will work with the contractor to start securing the opportunity to consider some of these additional emergency areas or areas that may get pushed off further due to large infrastructure underground projects, that we can maintain that pavement condition within a reasonable time frame.
Right, absolutely. We definitely want to go forward with
Okay,
that.
thanks so much.
And thanks for this. I'm assuming, Tom, you did this.
Yeah, Brian did that for us. That's from Neil's stuff. The big sheets are up on the wall. Brian, the notes on there are from Brian as to explaining what sometimes some of the maps are. I think they're very useful.
Last on the agenda is the request from Briar Ridge to revisit Ordinance 2016-21. Adam, would you want to address that?
Yes, it was just brought to my attention right as I was walking in today. And it kind of stems off of an email I had with you, Tom, last night. So to enact or amend a PUD ordinance requires the same process. Under Indiana statute, it requires the same process to amend a zoning map, which means a proposal either has to be brought by petition or by the Plan Commission itself in the Plan Commission with a noticed public hearing, and then the council takes action to ratify the Plan Commission's decision. So if we were going to amend the PUD ordinance that was enacted in 2016, we would have to go through that today. Well, apparently, and I haven't gone through the records to verify this, that process was not followed in the enactment of the 2016 PUD ordinance, which means it's not valid. So that is something I would like to delve through with Sue and Debbie's office and see if we can churn up the minutes from the Plan Commission during 2016 to verify that this was never followed. And if that was the case, the PUD ordinance is invalid. And I would recommend, and we will obviously go through the Plan Commission treating it that way. Because the ordinance is invalid, no action from the council would be required. In other words, there's nothing to repeal because it's invalid.
Right.
If you want to pass a resolution acknowledging its invalidity or declaring its invalidity, you can certainly do that, but there's no board action required.
Okay.
I think it would help though just to set the record straight.
Yeah.
And then the next thing, that you and the Plan Commission should do is reenact the 2016 ordinance. I think what it achieves is good and desirable in that it says, okay, as the subdivision exists as of this date, that is the PUD plat for Briar Ridge. And if it were me, I would leave out the language about what constitutes a major and minor change and just defer to the zoning code about that. My 2 cents.
So I'm assuming we're going to be hearing more about this at the next Plan Commission meeting.
Oh, I expect there will be fireworks there.
Yes. But thank you for clearing it up because there's been such a confusion over the last couple of years. And
then the other thing too, this is tangentially related. It looks like we're having our first BZA meeting coming up in April. And the BZA statute, provides for enactment of its own rules of procedure. So I would encourage the town maybe to take a look at those procedural rules I drafted as a town-wide provision for hearings before anybody, including the Planning Commission, BZA. I don't think Park Board would have any hearings like that, but this body on appeals, something to take a look at.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion or comments?
no,
Hearing none, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
thank you.